All right, so what we're doing is we're going to be building the ultimate Star Trek crew, but these are the rules. We get to pick individuals from any regular Star Trek cast member. So that would mean original series, Next Gen, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise. I guess technically you could do the animated series and Discovery if you want.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
Gotta do it.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to pick just these positions. It's going to be captain, first officer, chief medical officer, security chief, chief engineer, 2 operations officers, which is basically like, any bridge officer position, like helmsman, navigator, tactical officer, just any 2. You can basically put them wherever you like. And then we're going to do 1 floater. So that floater is just going to be, could be anybody from any crew, just an extra person that you think would sort of round out the ultimate crew. They don't have to be assigned to a specific position. They're just there to lend support. The only rules would be when you choose a captain, it has to be one of the captains from the series. If you choose first officer, it has to be one of the first officers from the series. Same thing for chief medical officer. So chief medical, it's got to be McCoy, it's got to be Bashir, it's got to be Beverly Crusher, and so on. So you can't assign, Geordi as chief medical officer on your crew just because you think it would be awesome.
Damn it! Well, I gotta redo my list.
All right, we're not going to do this now. So should we start? I think we should not start at the top.
Oh,
captain. We shouldn't, right?
Okay.
We should save captain for last because that's probably the ultimate position.
I think we can go either way, really. Because
let's do this. Let's leave captain for last, but then we'll go in order. So let's start with first officer and see who you pick.
Do you want to do your whole crew first and my whole crew?
No, I think we should go. Yeah, I think we should do. We'll each pick first officer, and then we'll explain why we think that's the ultimate first officer, and then once we're done, then we'll move on. Do you have a choice for your ultimate first officer?
I'm thinking of the whole picture, and it's really branching out from first officer is starting to change my list.
So let's think. So here's who you have to choose from. You have Spock, you have Riker, of course, Major Kira from Deep Space Nine, Chakotay from Voyager. Okay,
No,
it's not going to be Chakotay.
No, I really like Chakotay, but I don't know. I couldn't. Okay.
And then Enterprise.
I think might have been.
Who's the first officer in Enterprise?
Was it DePaul?
I thought DePaul was like Vulcan observation
liaison
person.
Or whatever. Oh, then it was Trip.
It must, but wasn't Trip the chief engineer? No. It was.
This is embarrassing.
It's sad because I didn't really watch a lot of Enterprise.
I haven't seen Enterprise in
the chief
years.
engineer is the British dude.
No, Malcolm's tactical. He was like
Trip is the engineer.
Trip's the engineer.
All right, so
Hoshi was she was like the
communications. But she would be in line for operations officer.
Yes,
right?
yes, she would.
So let's just for this.
Travis Mayweather, the ultimate operations officer.
He's not going to be. Spoiler alert: he's not on anybody's team. No one's picking Travis Mayweather.
Poor Travis.
We should do that. We should add to this the worst
in our
crew
opinion.
member. I'm sure he'd be up for that.
Yeah, no, he'd
But I'd say for the sake of this argument, T'Pol would be in the first officer.
Sure.
And then Discovery, I don't know all the character names.
Discovery's a little weird because I think first officer was Saru at one point, and then he was kind of the captain when shit.
A lot of the positions shift. So even like if we're talking about captain, is it going to be
first
Giorgio? It's going to be
what's his name?
Yeah,
Malfoy, Lucius Malfoy.
Exactly,
Captain Malfoy.
Again, don't remember the name.
I don't remember his damn name. What happened?
See, these shows run all. I thought we were only going to pick from the shows that were sort of established. Discovery's still kind of new, but
I mean, for the sake, I'm probably not going to pick anyone from Discovery.
I don't think so either.
Like just on happenstance, we don't even have to worry about this.
Well, I also thought I probably wouldn't pick someone from Discovery because the show isn't really been on long enough for me to decide who is really kick-ass on that crew.
That is a very practical answer, and I support it.
Okay, good.
Fully, because it's true.
Right.
Absolutely.
And we can also go from the animated series, but I doubt I know some of the characters on the animated series. I doubt you know.
I only saw 3 episodes of the animated series, and then it got pulled from Netflix. Very upset.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to figure out.
That's probably CBS
All
Access.
I didn't look on there yet for it, so I'm gonna do that when I go home.
Yeah.
Because the 2 or 3 episodes that I saw were excellent.
Right.
Like really good.
But there's not, even if you were to pick, there's Lieutenant Arex, who's a Saurian.
Yeah.
He's got 3 arms.
Yeah.
Voiced by Jimmy Doohan, who basically voiced everybody on that show.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then Lieutenant Maress, who's a Cation, and that was of course voiced by Nichelle Nichols. But they don't. None of these guys do anything. It's the animated series. They just say stuff. Nobody's proven themselves as anything. I doubt anybody would.
No one's gonna be. Yeah.
But technically, if you like, Arex, the 3-armed dude, you can put him in.
He was in the running.
I'm
not gonna lie. One of the bridge officers.
Why? Just because he had 3 arms?
Yeah.
All right.
For practicality's sake.
Exactly. Well, Riker probably has a 3rd leg.
You're right.
That's a whole other.
I mean,
with all the ladies he got.
He is also on my list somewhere.
Right. Unfortunately, I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm picking my ultimate first officer. I have to go with Spock.
Okay.
I mean, you have to go with Spock.
I am going to pick Spock as well for a very specific reason, which I will reveal when I reveal more of my picks, because I feel like he gels very well with a specific crew.
Right.
And I'm not talking about Captain Kirk.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
all right,
so
that'll be interesting.
I will speak more of my choice after we're done, because it threw me for a loop, because I had my number 1. I chose those words very specifically. I had my number 1 in mind, and I abandoned it at the 0
Okay.
hour. So, but I will.
But you want to reserve why Spock until later.
Yes.
All right. So I guess I'll give my reasons for Spock. I mean, I think it's. I don't think anybody's going to. Most fans wouldn't ask. Defend why you would pick Spock.
Why Spock? Why that's a horrible choice? Why Spock? No.
But just for I guess the obvious reasons, which would be throughout the entire series and the films, he proved to be just a genius. He knew so much about every topic. He did a great job supporting his captain. He did a great job supporting his crew. Downside for Spock, he would upset people because he didn't have emotions. He wasn't human enough. But I think in the long run, every time that he was ever in command or had to take command when Kirk wasn't absent or was just supporting Kirk or the crew, I think he always did an immaculate job. And not that like Riker or other first officers didn't, but Spock, obviously, I think just the fact that he can mind meld people, the fact that he can nerve pinch people, the fact that he's brilliant, I think that puts him above any of the other first officer characters.
I think it goes beyond the fact that he's merely brilliant, because if you limit it to that criteria, something that you kind of pick up on if you watch enough Star Trek is everybody on these ships is like a cut above any normal person you'd meet.
Yeah, they're all
Earth. They're just like very smart. They're just very, very smart. They're in excellent physical shape. They're just. I think the reason why where they are is because they're just they're rounded personalities and they're rounded people.
Yeah, they're all going to be the best of the best.
Right.
That's
but
for sure.
But I think Spock exhibits kind of like a best of 2 worlds approach, and he's got a lot of experience. Like tons of experience. Yeah. Even in Discovery, which we've kind of
technically Tuvok has more experience, because when the original series started, Spock's age Spock's age was I believe the age of Leonard Nimoy as the human actor who's playing him. So I think Spock is really only 35 or 38 or whatever.
Right.
But when Tuvok joined, when Voyager starts, I think Tuvok is in his 80s or 90s.
Yeah, he's been around. I mean, he was on what was that episode? I think he was on the Enterprise B or something like that.
No, he was on Sulu's ship.
He was on the Excelsior?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's,
But as a junior
that
officer.
That was 80 somewhat years before Next Generation, let alone Voyager. So
correct.
He's probably, I would put him closer to 100.
He might be, yeah. And I think he was an ensign on the Excelsior, and I believe during events of, I guess it was during the events of, was it Generations? Was that the one where fly her apart, damn you? Where Sulu?
He wasn't. Was he on Cameron Fry's ship, or was he always on the Excelsior?
Well, the weird thing is that what's his name? The actor who plays Tuvok
Tim Russ.
Tim Russ played an officer on Sulu's ship in the film, but not a Vulcan.
Right.
So I guess they decided
He did that again in Next Gen.
during that Voyager. They decided to make it to say that it was Tuvok. But I think in the episode, which was like, I think it was all in Tuvok's brain. He was struggling with some things that he was gone. I believe he was an ensign right out of Starfleet. He was very green. He wasn't a bridge officer, I believe, or maybe he was.
I don't remember.
And he had decided he was going to quit Starfleet because it wasn't working out for him. And then, I guess, stuff happened, and then Sulu kind of pep talked him, and he decided he would stay in Starfleet. I'm probably getting it all wrong, but that's kind of the gist of it. But yeah, he's been around a long time. But we're digressing here, so let's just move on. Yeah. We could spend hours.
You're right.
Just for shits and giggles, we'll just say Chief Medical Officer. Let's move to your pick.
I know who you're going to pick.
Why do you know who? I might have said it before.
Yeah,
but
you did. I think you're going to go with Bones.
I'm not going with Bones.
Oh, wait, no. You're going to go with the same pick I am.
Julian Bashir?
Ooh, no.
Really?
No.
Who are you going with?
I'm going with the emergency medical hologram.
Interesting choice.
I think they're all good choices. Even Phlox.
Well, we're all going to concede that they're all good choices.
Yeah. But everyone's got a strength, right? But
except Mayweather's not a good choice.
I don't think. I'm sorry.
He's the one choice that is not.
One day the actor might listen to this and be like, these motherfuckers.
But it's not. But again, my critique is not of the actor. I'm not saying Mayweather's not a good choice because
no, I just think the character.
They never gave Mayweather anything to do. He never did anything. The character never did anything that made me think he was great.
They gave him less of a shot than they gave Ensign Kim.
Correct, but even Ensign Kim,
even Ensign Kim got a couple episodes. Ensign Kim,
but true. But when you think of Ensign Kim, which Ensign Kim is, spoiler alert, not going to be on any of my crews.
Fortunately, not going to be on mine either.
But the character is almost based on him messing up and not doing particularly well,
and being he's in like a bad situation, right? He was just in the wrong place.
And again, he's an ensign, so he really shouldn't make your ultimate crew because he's a low rank.
I believe that was his first. Wasn't that his?
I think that was
his first assignment.
I believe so, yeah. So I would choose Julian Bashir. The reason why I would choose Julian Bashir is, first of all, Julian Bashir, he is genetically engineered. Mm-hmm. We know he's brilliant. We know he finished at the top of his class. Yes, he finished second, but we know he threw the question on the post-ganglionic fiber or a
pre-ganglionic nerve,
something like that. Whatever. But he threw the question, so he would have been first. So we know he's brilliant, genetically engineered. He's cured the phage. Like, this guy has done
stuff.
Like, he has done things that are going to be taught in history books. So as good as, let's say, McCoy is. And I'm assuming, and I don't want to step on your toes. I'm assuming you're picking the emergency medical hologram, maybe because he is a hologram and there's advantage to him being a hologram. But I don't really see him being as brilliant a doctor as Julian Bashir by any means. So why are you picking the EMH?
Aside from practicality, because he is a walking medical database. Right?
Okay.
And he's also a hologram. I'm also referring. I think him having the mobile emitter helps immensely.
Yeah, and for the case of this argument,
his mobile emitter version.
We're picking him at whatever, doesn't matter.
Right.
You can pick first season or seventh season.
But he's also proven throughout the show that he's grown and developed almost like his own bedside manner, his own personality, something that makes him a good doctor, a better doctor, even just being basically a medical tricorder with arms and legs.
I see what you're saying, but for me, you're making the point why he shouldn't be. You're picking something. It's an emergency medical hologram. It was never meant to be left on that long. Yes, the program has outshined what the designer meant for it to ever be. But I honestly don't think that makes him superior to any of the other doctors per se.
I mean, he's already done that though. He's already grown and shown the capacity for growth.
But again, that's a handicap he had to overcome, as opposed to the other doctors who never had to even overcome that handicap.
Well, technically, Julian Bashir had to overcome a handicap.
He had to overcome a lie, not a handicap. Being genetically engineered to be a genius isn't really a handicap; it's an advantage. So he just had to overcome the stigma of being something.
Jeez, well, that was 15 minutes.
That was 15 minutes. See, well, but let's just keep going.
Yeah,
I don't
fuck
think
the timer. All right.
I don't think we could do this in 15 minutes.
No.
But let's just see. I think we might be able to get it done in a half hour.
Yeah, sure. I think so.
All right, so
you're right.
all right, so we've got all right, perfect. At the end, we'll just recap everybody we picked. So we've got our picks for CMO. You pick the Doctor from Voyager, and I pick Julian Bashir.
You know, he has a name, and I forget. Schweitzer?
I don't know if he ever settled on it though.
I don't think he settled on it.
And then there was
I
the
don't
one.
remember.
Then there was but then the final episode, he said he went with Joe. If you remember, when they flashed to the future.
I think I might have blocked it out of my mind.
Yeah, it was kind of dumb.
That episode was so rushed.
All right, so first officer, I have Spock, and medical officer, I have Bashir. First officer, you have Spock as well, but medical officer, you have the Doctor. Okay, let's move forward to Chief of Security. Why don't you lay your pick on the table first?
Chief of Security. This is a tough one.
For me, it's a no-brainer.
I think I know who you're going to say.
While you're thinking, I'll say my pick.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to go with Odo.
That's who I was going to
I was thinking maybe Worf because of Odo's... he's like... I was thinking like his like alienness has always been... has somewhat of an effect, and his past has had an effect on his career. But Worf has similar issues with his Klingon. He's like the only Klingon in Starfleet, yada, yada, yada.
Well, to me, the Klingonness doesn't disqualify him. Here's what disqualifies him for me is there's two things. Number one, and they have a supercut of this, like on YouTube, where every time he has an idea, everyone's like, you're wrong, you're stupid, we're not picking that.
He gets smacked
So
down,
he literally gets shot down all the time. So, to be honest, I don't think Worf is particularly bright. I'm not saying he's stupid. I'm just saying... when you look at the average intelligence of one of the hero characters from Star Trek, he's at the average or the lower level on that spectrum. I'm saying the average person, he's obviously way smarter than. But when it comes to all the hero crews, I think he's on the lower end of that spectrum.
You know,
so that's number one.
I wonder in that cut of him all of his ideas getting shot down. I wonder how many of those ideas would have worked if no one shot him down.
It's hard to say.
You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like he's not always wrong.
But the other issue I think he has is, and I guess this does have to do with his Klingon. He's hot-headed. Yeah. He's very quick to come to. Let's go in. Let's attack. Let's.
Right.
So he's kind of has a short fuse. He's not really a tactician. And that's to me where Odo picks up. Odo is a brilliant. Odo is like the Columbo of space.
Yeah, he's
except
like
he can turn into a bird.
Top tier investigator, right? He adheres. He's got the sense of justice.
He's so good. He's so good. He'll never carry a weapon, and he still kicks ass and takes names.
It's very true.
He could stretch his arm out, and he could turn into this. He could
Herculean Hawk.
So we're talking about he's a brilliant investigator.
Yeah.
He's incredible at his job, and he can completely change. He could just melt through the deck and appear in front of it.
Right.
So to me, it's a no-brainer. Like he's got to be the security.
He's like
chief.
up there with Tasha Yar.
But he's way better than Tasha Yar.
I know.
I'm glad you were being sarcastic.
Absolutely.
All right, so we both are picking Odo, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much with you. It was almost a no-brainer.
All right, I have a feeling we're going to have a hard time picking this one, and I don't know if we're going to pick the same person, but let's go for Chief Engineer.
This is a very tough one. You go first.
This is a very, very tough one. I'm going to just talk through my thought process, and maybe it'll help you out. So, a lot of people say you got to pick Scotty because Scotty, no matter what was going on, if something had to be done, he got it done faster than anybody else. But then we learned later on that he always exaggerated.
Yeah.
So if something only took a day, he would say it would take a week and then go, I'll do it for you today because you only have a day. So I honestly don't know if he's really as good as people think he is because he played that exaggeration game. He even said that in the Next Gen when Geordi says it'll take, 6 hours, he goes, well, how long will it really take? It's like 6 hours. Like,
hours.
you don't do that. Captains are like
You've
little
got
children.
a lot to learn.
Yeah, you got to tell them it's going to take you 12 and then say you can do it in 6 because you want to look like a miracle worker. So they kind of discounted the fact that he really isn't a miracle worker.
They did.
He's kind of a shyster. We know he's a great engineer.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of painted him as half a bullshit artist.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's tough because when I see what Geordi accomplished as chief engineer, when I see what O'Brien accomplished as chief engineer, again, when I look at Enterprise, I'm not thinking a Trip. And here's why I wouldn't pick Trip, but I think Enterprise has a disadvantage because they're like the first starship, the first crew. They have garbage technology. So it's hard for me to pick anybody from Enterprise because they're not up to snuff with the other timeline, so to speak. Or, well, I guess that would also count for original series. They're kind of older too. So for me, I guess when push comes to shove, it's either between Geordi or O'Brien, and I guess I have to go with O'Brien, and I'm going to go with O'Brien because I think socially O'Brien is way better than we know. Geordi is not good socially, so I think he would just jibe better.
You're taking the words right out of my mouth.
That's exactly.
Well,
what you
but here's
thought.
the thing, again, Geordi had blind man had to overcome a lot, right?
But this is not even the blindness thing.
I know what I'm saying.
Care.
He's essentially always working with a splitting headache, right? But he is brilliant, and he does accomplish. He's the chief engineer on the flagship of the Federation, but steps outside of engineering and he falls apart. Like, look at Leia Brahms, case in point, right?
Right.
He just it crumbles around him, right?
And O'Brien is great under pressure.
O'Brien's great under pressure. He was an enlisted man. He fought the Cardassians.
He knows wartime. He can handle that.
He took a Cardassian space station essentially under
exactly,
his... he was a real miracle worker.
True. Correct.
Always saw the guy with a cup of coffee in his hand and like a pad in his...
And he always got it done. He always got the job
it done.
Yeah.
I think that guy saved more lives than the other two combined.
Okay.
I really like O'Brien. And O'Brien, I mean, anyone who's watched Deep Space Nine knows that O'Brien got dumped on all the time.
Sure.
So, I mean, the guy...
And he always came out on top.
Always came out on top.
Well, they had
a family, a growing family.
He has his own... The producers, the Torture O'Brien episode. Yes. He has so many episodes where he gets tortured. So.
Some really bad ones, too. Like where he... Remember the one where he does like Hard Time?
Oh, that's the name of the episode, I think.
Hard Time?
Yeah, where it's all in his head. He's like 30 years... Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, they tortured the crap out of
him. So I mean, like, if you had asked me a few years ago...
Plus, he did his time in the transporter room on Enterprise where nobody would go visit him.
Yeah, where he was alone.
I know. And he managed to still come out on top.
I mean, if you had asked me before I had got back into DS9, like years and years ago, I probably would have said Geordi.
Right.
But just thinking about it more and like seeing the breadth of crap that O'Brien conquered,
right?
I got to go with O'Brien, Chief O'Brien.
I agree.
The chief.
All right, let's move on now to, we get 2 picks for operations officers. So this is just 2 officers on the bridge, 2 senior officers on the bridge. It doesn't really matter. They basically can be at any position, let's put it that way. Okay. But they'll probably be assigned. You could say where you think they'd spend the most of their time.
I
know we both have one that's probably... Yeah.
So
let's just get it out of the way.
We're in Data.
We're both going to pick Data.
Both going to pick Data.
I don't think we need to explain why we picked Data.
Here's my other choice. Malcolm Reed.
Holy shit.
Yeah, Malcolm Reed.
Why?
What? Purely for tactical.
Was he that good?
He was tactical? To hear him speak, he was like I think he was a sniper or something like that. Like the guy was not like a jarhead, like aggressive military man, like let's say Worf, who you said was a hothead, right? So I agree with that. I mean, I'm a huge Worf fan. I think he did a great job. Again, flagship of the Federation. I think he did fantastic. But Odo edged him out in almost every possible
Now keep this in mind. I don't want to... You could always pick Malcolm Reed as your floater.
No, I've got someone else for
a floater. Oh, you already have one there?
I think it's a controversial floater, but I think is a good floater.
All right, well, don't give it up yet because I haven't picked my second officer.
I just think that he would be a great tactical officer, and he has enough cool, calm collectedness to be a great bridge officer overall.
Right.
He was I think he was one of the better characters on Enterprise.
Right.
So he's my second choice.
So for me, it was a tough decision for my second choice. I think Worf is a great choice.
Okay.
But I'm not picking him.
Worf.
But I think he's a good choice.
No,
I really do.
agree.
And who knows? He might end up being my floater. But so my choice for my second ops officer is Tom Paris. And I'm picking Tom Paris because
that's a good choice.
He is an insane, incredible pilot.
Yeah, no,
out of all of the shows, we could probably say he's probably the best pilot out of any pilot in any Star Trek series. I think he's proven that. And so I would put Tom Paris at the helm, and he's my second ops officer. I think he's a great choice.
That is a good choice. It's a really good choice.
All right, so wait, did you pick your... So who were your... We had Data and
Reed.
And Reed.
Yeah.
Reed, man, I never thought anybody from Enterprise... I mean, spoiler alert, my floater's coming up, and I don't think anybody from Enterprise is going to make that
I told
list.
you, I had an original list, and then I thought a little bit about it, branching out from Spock, and it changed.
See, I have someone from every crew except
changed.
Enterprise. I'm not including Discovery, but we talked why. But I have someone from every other show. I don't have anybody from Enterprise yet. Well, we'll see. Maybe they'll make my floater.
So you want to do floater now, or you want to do captain?
No, let's do floater, and then we'll top it off.
All right, what's your floater?
I'm not. You go first.
You might hate my floater
because I'm not really sure.
I think
You're going with Neelix.
No, I'm not. You know who my floater is?
Who's that?
Riker.
That's not a. Why would I be upset about that?
Because you go from first officer to floater. I don't want to demote the guy, but here's my reasoning.
No, but you could he's a floater, so you could make him.
The thing is, he's very, very skillful, right? So he's a great pilot.
Yeah, but what position does he get?
He's either a helmsman or he's sitting next to the captain. He's not his first officer, but
his third officer,
because
just
he's
straight up.
Well, he's also I would put him as a master level poker player.
Well, you can make him second officer.
He could be second officer. But I'm saying he's also a good pilot.
He is a great pilot. We know he's a great pilot.
So in my lineup, I'm not specifying a helmsman. So there's like Ensign Rager, as a helmswoman, right? Mm-hmm. So if the panel explodes and Rager goes flying, Riker just literally slides on over, swings his leg over the chair, and is now a pilot, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he's an experienced Starfleet officer. He could essentially step into the role of captain.
Sure.
But I think he also is really, really good at reading body language, and that's a very useful skill when doing anything with communication or anything like that. So that's why I put him.
I think Riker's a great pick. I'm kind of upset that Riker's not. I could easily agree with you on Riker and make him my floater. I think you have good reasons. I'm not going to do that, but I'm sad that Riker's not in my crew. But I think
it's a lot of good picks. So,
I think my floater is a great pick, and I don't think you're going to disagree. So my choice for floater is Jadzia Dax.
Okay, I didn't see that coming, but I agree. It is a good choice.
I mean, the experience of multiple lifetimes,
experience alone,
right? And then early on, you might be like, "Oh, that's kind of a waste."
She's a science. I mean, she's the science officer.
She's an incredible science officer. She could take that position. Yeah. But also, look at her combat skills. She knows how to use a batleth. She's fought and trained with Klingons. In past lives,
she's a wrestler, right? Something like that.
Yeah, she's
just got skills upon skills.
And you can never put her in a situation where she's uncomfortable because she's been in so many situations.
I think you could sit her at any seat there, and she'd do fine.
Exactly. And that's another good reason.
Helms, you do fine.
So if somebody gets knocked out, boom,
slide her in, and she's got a strong choice.
Yeah, I think she's really good.
All right, moment of truth.
Mm-hmm. Feel bad nobody picked Neelix. Neelix is my captain. Technically, he is a captain, so you can pick him.
Neelix, we could talk about.
No, Tuvix should be no. We could have picked Tuvix. Technically, you could have picked Tuvix.
Was he an officer? He didn't.
Of course, he was.
What was he?
I thought when he got blended, when they thought he was never going to go back, didn't he resume his duties as a Starfleet in Starfleet?
Oh, he might. Yeah, he did.
So technically, you could pick Tuvix. Might have made a good floater. I mean, we're stepping outside the box. We're sticking to regular crew members.
Never crossed my mind, but he wouldn't be a bad floater.
He wouldn't.
But the thing is, he didn't stick around long enough to really get
right.
For all I know, the merging of two personalities, he could have been a homicidal maniac in 3 episodes.
He might have been. Right? We could have picked Lon Suter.
Why?
Speaking of homicidal maniacs, why I pulled that from the depths of.
Or what was it, Dr. Rasmussen? the time traveler.
Berlinghoff Rasmussen?
Berlinghoff Rasmussen.
Yeah,
He
but
wasn't
he's
an
not a
officer.
crew member. He's just a con artist.
Good floater.
He might be. Harry Mudd's probably a better floater than
he's
him.
a solid floater. He would have stolen the ship though. So
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so now we have captain. This is the tough one, right? This is a hard one.
I've struggled with this choice for many a long session of thinking
Let's do
about
this. I think it'd be interesting. We have all the cap. Why don't you go through who it's not and explain why you don't think that they're good?
Okay. I'm gonna get the. All right. I'm gonna
So
get
who's at the bottom of your list?
bottom of my list is Kirk.
Wow, the
Yeah.
bottom of your list.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And just because,
But why?
Cowboy diplomacy.
Okay.
I think he's a loose cannon, and a lot of times he plays it super close to the chest, only to like he comes out on top and he nails it like 9 times out of 10. Great captain, but like close to the chest.
Okay.
So I think that's I don't know. I don't feel comfortable picking Kirk as a captain, and Kirk is such a strong captain. I don't think he would be like I wouldn't pick him as a floater. Because he needs to be a captain. You know what I'm saying? He's so like cemented.
Oh, there's no way he could be anything but captain.
Yeah,
I give
so-
you that. He has to be in
And to
charge.
say that he's at the bottom, it's bad terminology.
But you're basically saying that you think, and again, I don't know who your top pick is, but you're basically saying Jonathan Archer is a better captain than Kirk.
Oh, I forgot about Jonathan Archer.
Oh, that's sad.
I just think and I also.
But again, I'd
I
say
also
Archer
think
doesn't
that
have enough
Giorgio-
experience.
Archer's from a different era, man. That kind of feeds into my.
You got to
problem.
make the assumption that they can learn the tech. Like if they're brought out of time, they have the
All right,
temperament.
Yeah, I think Archer would be. Yeah, I think he's above him because he's got a better temperament and he's got a dog.
And he's got a
Let's
dog.
get all the facts.
Kirk
on the
had a
table.
dog. Remember Butler? He had the.
Was he on the ship?
No.
That-
They didn't allow dogs on
Out of
ships.
sight, out of mind.
All right.
But they allowed cats on the ship.
Who?
Spot.
Oh. I thought you said I thought you meant they allowed Kess on the ship. I'm like, wow, you're calling Kess a
They
dog.
Technically allowed.
Holy
I wasn't going there,
shit.
but they did allow Kess on the ship.
Right.
I have no reason not to pick Janeway. I don't.
Okay.
I think Janeway's an awesome captain. The only problems I have with Janeway are the problems I have with Voyager as a whole.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
My problem with Janeway is a better floater as a science officer. Because Janeway is a scientist.
She would have been a really good floater. Again, though.
So I think she's more scientist. I think her skills excel more as a scientist than as a captain.
I was
Not saying she's a bad captain.
The thing about Janeway is
good
I was
captain.
contemplating picking her as a captain just for what she accomplished.
Right.
Right? Like, she's no slouch at all. I'm not going to pick Picard.
Yeah, I thought you might.
It was.
Well, now I know who you're
going
gonna
to
pick.
But I'm not going to pick Picard just because.
Well, now I know who you're picking.
Because of the choice, because of Spock.
Right.
And I'm not saying Picard's a bad captain. I think he's an excellent captain. The only reason I'm not picking him is because I think the combination of Spock's level-headedness would counteract Sisko's explosive temper.
So you're going with Cisco.
I'm going with Sisko.
Yeah.
The combination of Sisko and Spock, I think, would be outstanding.
Right. Yeah. And for the sake of, I hate to be boring, but I'm going with Cisco myself.
Right.
And it's some of the same rationale. So what I would say is this, is that from what you're saying, going back to Picard, and you didn't say this, but I think you would agree, Picard is an amazing captain. Picard will not ever deviate from Federation law. He's too much of an idealist. He's too much of a humanist. Whereas he's a Federation. Again, the whole reason why I think you're picking Cisco, when it really boils down to it, is the same reason why I'm picking him, and it's in the pale moonlight. It's the fact that he can make the hard choice.
There's also another,
even though it goes against what you should do.
I agree with
Picard
that.
would never do it
But
in a million years.
There's also another reason.
If Picard was in charge,
Yeah.
the Dominion wins that war. And that's the truth. That's the real truth.
Yeah.
And that's why I pick Cisco.
The thing is that doesn't make I honestly think they're neck and neck, and because of what Cisco did.
I don't think it's neck and neck, because you could say Picard's a better diplomat, and you could say Picard follows the rules better, and you could say Janeway is a better scientist, and we could say all these things.
But they're just they're just strengths.
But in those things, those are nice skills to have. But when it comes to being a captain, you need to be a leader, and you need to make the hard choice, and you need to make it quick. And Sisko does it every goddamn time. You see what I'm saying?
But I think all captains make the hard choices. Like, look at Tuvix, right? That was a hard
choice.
No,
but Sisko will make the hard choice. That is the choice that will get him in trouble at Starfleet. He goes. He goes back in time.
But that's it.
During the whole Gabriel Bell thing.
Right. Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to just be Gabriel Bell. I'm going to fix this right now.
Right. Yeah.
Picard would never do that.
Right.
In a million, I just don't think he'd do it.
I wouldn't even say it's making the hard choice, because for other captains, that's not even a choice. That's like, we're not going to violate the Prime Directive. But
Correct.
Sisko's just like, there's like sets of rules that Sisko is willing to bend and break to protect his people, protect Starfleet, right? I was also in addition to the Pale Moonlight, I was also thinking of when he was chasing Eddington.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he like melts the atmosphere of that planet. And he's like, I'm doing it again. And he was about to give the command, hit the button, and Eddington surrenders. Like, he did what had to be done.
Exactly. He's the only one that really does that. Kirk would do that. Kirk would do that. But I agree with you. I give Sisko a little bit of the edge over Kirk, because I think I agree with your sentiment that Kirk, the cowboy diplomacy. I think sometimes Kirk rushes into situations which may cause more problems, but he's smart enough to fix the problem he caused. See, I think that happens a lot. Kirk creates problems by the nature of how he leads, but then he can fix them.
Yeah, he fixes them, right.
So he's a little bit more of a loose cannon on deck. Certainly.
I was going to bring up, remember that episode Obsession?
Yeah.
Okay, so that has a lot of parallels to the Michael Eddington situation.
Okay.
But I think Sisko, through his own brand of aggression, reined it in a bit better than Kirk did.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I think that, they both share that attribute, but I think Sisko was able to tackle it better. And also, Sisko was of all these captains, he was a wartime captain.
Yeah.
And that adds a whole other level of pressure and hard choices.
True.
You know, like that's really saying something.
And in fact, when you speak of that, because we think of Wolf 359 and that Sisko lived through that, and that it messed him up, with not being able to kind of get over his wife and all that. But he kind of works through that to some extent. Picard, to me, what happened to Picard becoming Locutus, I think even though he does overcome it, and there's like a 3-episode arc that it takes him to overcome it, I think what happened to Picard, I think it's still more of a handicap than a help. Even though he does overcome it and learn to become captain again, I think the Locutus experience is always going to be a disadvantage.
I think that rocked him to his core.
That's what I'm saying. And I think that's a disadvantage. No captain has ever had to get that low and come back. And even though he does overcome it, it's still... I think it's still a bit of a crutch for him. Because I think we saw how then, in First Contact, how he wasn't dealing with the Borg properly.
Yeah, he was not at all.
And I think when it comes to the Borg, he
lost his shit.
Right. And I think in any situation in which people would be having their identities, I think he would react irresponsibly. I don't think his logic and his coolness would stand. I think that just gives him a little bit of a disadvantage.
I mean, look at Sisko when he run. I mean, I think it's months later when he has the experience, the orb experience, and he runs into a wormhole alien masquerading as Jennifer, right? And he's just kind of like, oh,
I know.
And he's not like, falling apart.
But think of everything that the prophets put him through. Think of the whole Benny thing.
Yeah.
They put him through that whole Benny thing. For all intents and purposes, I'm
he could still be unsure.
I'm not saying for shits and giggles. I'm like, the prophets are like, here's a guy that's made of steel. Let's put him through right? The prophets are basically like, let's just throw him into the fire and see how he comes out of it.
And not only just the fire, we're going to put you in a situation that even after the fact, you're still not going to know what's reality and what's not.
And he's still, rock solid.
Right? And he comes out on it. And he just forward. Keep calm and chive the fuck on.
And that's the other,
Keep
and
going.
he's open to possibilities that other captains are not open. Not just in the Pale Moonlight stuff, but even at the end of DS9, he's like, I'm going to go live with the problem. What Starfleet captain would do that? Picard would stay on the ship. Kirk is only,
crew,
and think about this, another argument against Kirk. Kirk is only comfortable when he's on the bridge of a ship. I mean, Sisko could be the emissary. He could live with the wormhole people.
Yeah.
He could be like, you could throw this guy into any situation.
He could be a line cook in his father's restaurant.
Exactly.
Right? Like
but even the episode where they brought Q in, and then he punches him in the face. Just like, I don't care, but like, you're annoying.
Yeah.
You're annoying.
Yeah.
You're annoying, and I'm not dealing with your shit.
Yeah.
Whereas Picard will basically entertain Q's nonsense.
He's Sisko's more, and this is something that I had read a while ago, and it really resonated with me. Like, the crew, the cast and crew of Deep Space Nine, everyone represents like someone in like the Old West, right? Like you've got O'Brien,
Sure.
the everyman. You've got Quark, the saloon owner. You've got Odo, the sheriff. Sisko's almost like he's like a sea captain. You know what I mean? Like,
I think he's more like, if you go Western, he's the marshal.
Yeah, but like,
So he's got a bigger.
I'm just saying he's like that. He's got like that rugged presence. You know what I mean? But he's not a villain. It's the other way around. He's like a renegade. You know?
Right. Like, there could be a situation where something must get done, and in order to save time, Sisko will, let's say, punch a guy in the face. Like, Sisko would punch O'Brien in the face. If he knew that, like, we only have 20 minutes to get this done, O'Brien's arguing with me.
Right.
I'm going to have to punch him in the face. I'm violating protocol. And he could bring me up on charges.
But you need a fresh one.
But I'm going to punch him in the face. He's going to wake up. He's going to do what I said he's supposed to do. And then when the smoke clears at the end, O'Brien's going to I'm not going to press charges. He was right to punch me in the face. We got out of it alive. Like, that's the difference. Yeah. And no other captain would do that. I mean, Kirk, I think maybe, but we just never saw him in that situation.
Kirk's he's more of a fast talker than
Again, I think the disadvantage to Kirk is Kirk will rush into a situation. I don't think Sisko does that.
Like, face first.
Right.
By the way, I didn't mean to imply there were sea captains in the Old West. I think he fits into like a rugged role.
Yeah, more of an old-fashioned type.
Yeah, but it completely gels with like what his responsibilities are and what his duty is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he brings that, because he also juggles everything. Right? He juggles being a father, right? He's a widow. He's the captain on like a Cardassian / Federation station, like, and he's the emissary.
Right.
Like, he's got so many facets,
and he has to deal with it. He's got to deal with it.
He does it.
Yeah.
He not only juggles it, he excels at all of them. Mm-hmm. You know.
Right. And he's the only captain we've seen during a period of galactic war. And he's got to juggle. He's got to make sure the Klingons are happy, and he's got to make sure that the Bajorans are happy. And
There's no Dominion spies in Starfleet.
Right.
There's no changelings in Starfleet.
Right.
He's got so much.
And even when we go to the Pale Moonlight, he's like, you know what? I need Garrick's help. And Garrick's going to do illegal things, but I know I need him.
Help. And he's like, every day I look at that wall. Like,
right.
I don't think
and even Garrick knows it, because the whole when Sisko gets upset at Garrick for doing what he did, Garrick knows Sisko better than Sisko, because Garrick goes, you picked me because you knew I would do these things.
That you can't, or that you wouldn't.
Right. So you're not really upset. This is a little bit of a show.
Right.
And Sisko is like, yeah, you're right.
I think it's when he lets him down, right? He kind of like gets off.
He bloodies him, I think. He
definitely bloody. He gives him a good old.
Yeah.
Gives him the old.
But that's just Sisko frustrated with himself for doing it.
It's projecting, right?
Exactly. But I think that's what edges him out. All right, so good. So let's rehash.
Yeah.
So we both have Sisko as captain.
Yes.
Interesting. We both have Spock as the first officer.
But I think for different reasons.
Oh, you said you were going to go back. Oh, you said because Spock and Sisko.
I think that the
dynamic between the two of them
would be outstanding. It would be great.
That's interesting. I think Spock would have a really hard time dealing with Sisko. I don't know if Spock would be able to handle being Sisko's first officer. That it might not end well.
I think he would handle it the same way that he handled Bones McCoy.
It's possible. I think he would absolutely respect Sisko. I see what you're saying. I never thought of the dynamic.
Well, all things considered, Sisko is intensely human.
Oh,
Right?
totally.
Right?
And he's
So-
more human than Kirk.
So I think Spock might even find that more fascinating.
And I agree with you. Picard is too logical, and you put Picard and Spock together, it's a bad combination.
Yes,
That's why Riker's a greater first officer
yeah.
for Picard.
So honestly, it was either going to be Spock and Cisco or Riker and Picard as my.
And again, we haven't covered it, but obviously you agree. Cisco and Riker, horrible captain first officer.
Yeah, I
they'd
don't
be
think
fighting
so.
all the time.
It would be butting heads.
Yeah, would not be good.
He didn't even like Tom Riker.
I know, right?
Or
He didn't even like himself.
He didn't even like Riker when I didn't sense any sort of chemistry when he was on.
But that's the
show
thing.
for
Tom
10
Riker
minutes.
didn't like Riker because Riker was too much of a stuffed shirt, which is kind of hard to believe. But
Right.
I guess compared, the younger version of Riker. All right, so we both Cisco, Captain, Spock, first officer, medical officer. You chose the doctor from Voyager. I chose Bashir. Security chief. I chose Odo,
So did I.
and you chose Odo as well. Chief engineer. I chose O'Brien. I think you did as well.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be more
No.
dynamic.
Operations officer, we both chose Data. That's a given. We didn't even explain why. We
Yeah.
don't have to.
Yep.
But then I chose Paris, and you chose Malcolm Reed. Such a weird pick,
Right?
but I
That was off the cuff because I was thinking about Paris. Paris is a great choice.
And floater, I chose Jadzia Dax, and you chose. I forgot who you chose.
Riker.
Riker.
Will Riker.
Yeah. All right, that's good. It surprisingly, just to look at our choices, both of us only picked one person from the original series. So that's interesting.
I honestly, my second choice for medical would have been Bones.
Now I chose, and this is bizarre, not bizarre. I chose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people from DS9.
Well, because you love DS9.
No, but I'm being objective. No, but
I know.
But I'm also being very objective.
Yeah.
But I chose 5 people from DS9.
I think
I've only chose one person from Voyager,
I don't think I chose anybody from Voyager.
and you didn't choose anyone from Voyager.
But I did choose someone from Enterprise.
You did choose someone from Enterprise.
I think the reason why I think we're both pretty DS9 heavy, and I think one of the reasons is
Yeah, Data. Well, Data's really my only pick from Next Gen.
I think the reason is DS9 did a great job of fleshing out characters.
But it's not only that. I mean, we had to explain our choices, and I think our choices made sense. I think our chief engineer choice. I think a lot of people would argue with that.
Actually, you want to know who my number 2 choice was for engineer?
Who?
Torres.
She didn't even cross my mind.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because basically she overcame a lot of personal stuff, and she also was able to keep a ship running in the Delta Quadrant and get it home after 7 years.
Yeah, okay.
I don't like the fact that she was like hardcore Maquis and then she just kind of fell in line. But that's a gripe with the show. That's more of a gripe with the show than the character.
It's true,
thing.
but again, I gotta look at that. I don't think it was a good character development, but
I wouldn't put that on like I was thinking about what was presented to me, like as a career of the character. You know
right
what I
now
mean?
here this is sad, but let's pick the worst out of all of the standard crew
Okay.
from every cast. Who do we think is literally the worst, at the absolute bottom of the barrel?
I'm just gonna rip down the list. Just call it out. I'll rip it down.
Call it what? The list of
Call out the position.
the
I'll
worst.
rip it down.
Who's the worst? Again, worst captain. Who do you?
Pike?
Well, Pike's. So you're saying Pike from Discovery?
I'm saying Pike in general.
Yeah, but we're talking about from the series regulars. You have to pick.
Then let me do captain last. That's gonna be a rough one.
All right. So who's the worst first officer?
Chakotay.
I'm trying to see if I agree. I agree. I think I agree.
He's not a bad first officer. I just don't think he's got the. I don't think he cuts the mustard next to the other.
Well, first of all, he quit Starfleet to become Maquis.
Then there's that.
So that's a strike against him being a good first officer.
Yeah.
And then I'll be honest, all the spirit animal stuff. I don't think that,
Kuchimoya, the vision
but
quest.
I don't think that stuff makes. That's what separates him from the rest. I don't think any of that makes him better at his job.
It was so random. Yeah.
Right? I don't think that's an advantage.
No, it's not an advantage.
The fact that he's all spiritual, like being spiritual, I don't think is an advantage to being an officer. Is what I'm saying. It's not.
I have some thoughts on the whole spirit division quest stuff.
I liked, again, as far as adding flavor to the show.
Flavor, yes,
and showing
I think it was wildly out of place on a Star Trek show.
But I think they wanted to be different, and that's fine. And I don't mind
I didn't
it.
hate
And
it.
I
I
liked,
was just kind of. It was kind of like. Huh,
no, I liked the character, and I like what he brought to the show, and I enjoy him.
Oh, I think the Robert Beltran did a great job with it. Like I'm not. Like I said, I don't think he's bad. I just think he. I don't think.
Yeah, I just think
he
being
measures up.
hardcore picking a crew. I think I agree. So I agree with you on that. Worst medical officer.
Phew. Gonna go with Beverly Crusher.
I see where you're at. I see where you're at. I think I would disagree, and I'm sorry. I'm going to have to say the doctor.
I knew you were going to say that.
But here's my for Beverly Crusher. Beverly Crusher took the command test, and she could command, and most doctors don't do that. I think she was an excellent doctor, so I think that edges her out.
She was an excellent doctor.
Because McCoy can't take command. So I would put Crusher over McCoy.
You know, that's an interesting. That's very interesting.
And she does, become later in her career. She does become a captain. And we have to assume that will still happen. Even
I'd give you that absolutely.
But worst, I have to say the doctor again. I'm sorry, he's an EMH, and everything he got to it was out of pure randomness. But in reality, no one would ever pick a hologram to be chief medical officer. I just don't think it's a good idea. Worst chief engineer. It's tough. I think you're going to say Scotty because you just said how much you love Torres.
I think I'm going to have to go with Scotty on this one because we've established that he's kind of a bullshit artist.
Yeah, I mean that's the tough thing to pick. But he does really know his stuff.
He does. They all do, right? Like
I think in all fairness, if I really had to pick it out, I'll say Tripp is going to be. I would put
okay.
Tripp below Scotty.
All right, fair enough.
But I think I would probably put...
Honestly, the only reason I picked Scotty is the discussion we had before about him being essentially a liar.
Right.
Right? Like, and I would agree with Tripp just in the sense that
you
we
just
don't
don't
really
want a
have
crew.
much.
You don't want a crew member that calls a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, just give it to me straight. Like this isn't like a business meeting. This isn't corporate. We're not dealing with corporate buzzwords.
Sure.
It's like we're running a ship,
All right, worst operations officer. Helmsman, navigator.
Harry Kim. Inexperience.
Oh, well, I'm obviously...
Travis Mayweather.
Yeah, we're going to throw Travis Mayweather under the bus. I'm sorry. He's terrible.
He is terrible.
He is. He's bad.
I'm still going to go with Harry Kim just because he's super green. Like, green to the point where there were a few times that he made decisions and almost destroyed the ship.
You make a good point. Now that you think about it, I don't really...
It's not his fault. The thing is, it's not his fault.
Because Travis Mayweather, although the character was very vanilla and never really got to do much to separate himself, I don't know if during the course of that show he did a lot of shit that messed shit up, but Harry Kim did. Harry Kim made some choices that screwed shit up.
Not his fault. He got thrown into a really fucked up situation as an ultra green ensign. And it's just like...
I will agree with you. See, look, Travis Mayweather actually did not make bottom. Good for him. And then worst floater.
Worst floater.
Now floater. When I say floater, we're talking about Neelix. We're talking about Cass. We're talking about, let's say, Wesley Crusher. We're talking about Quark. I know Quark's not in the crew.
I wouldn't even call him a floater.
You can't really.
It's not really he doesn't have a bridge position, even though he was.
I guess you can't really pick worst floater because there is no floater position.
I mean, there are other I wouldn't want.
How about this? Who out of every lead cast member in a Star Trek series, regardless,
the bridge crew, like that?
No, anybody whose title was in front of the credits. Out of all of them, who do you think is ultimately the most useless? I mean, I think it's obvious.
I'm not going to say Neelix.
No, I was going to say Cass.
I was going to say Cass as well. Yeah.
Oh my God, and I just believe that we picked this entire crew, and I'm very surprised that none of us picked 7 of 9. She might have made a good floater.
I 100% forgot about 7 of 9. Shit.
But would she replace your Riker as your floater? Or would you put her in your
No,
crew?
she would replace Malcolm Reed as my floater.
No, you mean Malcolm Reed as your ops, your second ops dude.
She could do ops tactical. She could do anything. Dude. She's like...
I give you that.
She's like dated.
She's like a It would not change my picks. I will still take Paris.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I think I
so
might,
now Malcolm Reed's did go
I'm
off the
sorry
cast.
because if you recall, 7 and 9 was
No, I agree. She's better than Malcolm Reed.
But she replaces the cold hard logic of Malcolm Reed.
Right.
Like that coldness that Malcolm Reed had as a military man.
Right.
That's why I picked him. Mm-hmm. And he was very focused and gung ho. Like he was out there on the frontier.
I'm also trying to think of the dynamic there would be between Cisco and 7 of 9. That would be one interesting dynamic.
He would just be like a lot of side eye. Or what about the dynamic between 7 of 9 and Will Riker?
Yeah, but Will Riker would be trying to make.
You think so?
Yeah, she'd get away with a lot because she's hot. And I think Riker would be like, "Hey, how are you?" I mean, nobody picked Deanna Troi. She's the only empath.
I was thinking about that, but that's one of the reasons I picked Riker because of his ability to read people.
And not to be, but when you're making the list of regular cast members who are the most useless, I'm sorry, I really think that Deanna Troi is.
She also took the command test.
Yeah, it took her a long time to do it, and I know she made it, but.
We don't know how long.
But I think
we don't know how long Bev Crusher is.
Her only value to the crew. I'm sorry. Her only value to the crew is the fact that she can sometimes maybe read minds.
I mean, she proved that she could be a good counselor without.
But the truth of the matter is, even though I'm detecting there's some dishonesty, you don't think Picard would be like, yeah, I'm pretty sure the guy might be lying.
That's kind of why I picked. That's why I picked Riker because he'd be like, "Hey, he's full shit."
Right. It's like I don't think you need it. Yeah. I just don't think it's necessary.
I don't want to sound like an asshole, but I think you might be right.
Yeah, I just don't think she's particularly useful.
Kes has got a lot of inexperience.
Kes is bad because Kes is there because she's Neelix's boyfriend. That's why Kes is there. And then they have to find something for her to do.
Yeah, but...
So she ends up, in the hydroponics bay, watering plants or some
essentially,
nonsense?
Yeah.
So it's unfair to say she's at the bottom because she's a passenger.
I'd be willing to ignore her as as almost like a crew member in respect to this list.
Yeah,
like
she's
an acceptable option.
But you could pick her as a floater though if you feel. But what advantage does someone who has a lifespan of 5 years
and never left the planet before the start of the show?
She's useless, but her character is designed to be useless.
Starry-eyed, you know what I mean? She's essentially what is she 2? She's 2.
2 or 3, and they have a lifespan of 5
9.
or 6 years or something. Is it 9 years?
Well, I think it's 9, but I think there was a little after the caretaker died. There was speculation that maybe they lived longer than 9 years, and then I think they do because doesn't Cass come back as she comes back in a later episode of Voyager as a super angry as a psychic beast. Remember that where she's wrecking hallways and stuff.
I'm sad to say that there's a handful of Voyager episodes I've never seen. And the only reason why there's a handful of Voyager episodes I've never seen, not to show my age, is that when DS9 and Voyager were on first run,
you watched DS9.
They were opposite each other.
Yeah.
And so I watched DS9, and then some of those Voyager episodes I just never caught. And even though I've watched them in reruns, I've seen most of them, but occasionally, every once in a while, again, it might only be 3 or 4 or 5 Voyager episodes I've never seen. And I think that's why
I've watched that show. I watched that show in syndication, and I watched it again a few years ago just to watch it again. And I still can't recall a bunch of episodes because a lot of them just weren't very memorable.
A lot of them, are unmemorable.
Some of them were really, really good, but
every series has episodes that are just phenomenal,
stand out.
They all have their standouts, but some more than others. All right, I think we're done. I think we.
I was expecting more. I was expecting a bit more.
You thought we'd have different?
Yeah, a difference of opinion. But I did change a lot. I mean, you've asked me this question a bunch.
I believe your favorite series is also DS9, or is it Next Gen?
I have recently admitted to myself and portions of the internet that it is now DS9.
Right. So I don't want to say we're biased, but I guess so. Obviously, if somebody did this exercise, there's a lot of Trek fans that don't watch DS9, so they're not going to pick them. I don't think anybody could do this exercise unless they've watched all series.
Yeah.
And then you got to look at it objectively and say who's really good for this. Because that's what I did. I didn't pick DS9 folks because I liked the show. I honestly feel that Odo, he's a freaking shapeshifter.
No one picked Kira.
But who's going to pick Chekhov as security chief?
It's true.
Over Worf, over Odo, over Tuvok? You're not going to pick Chekhov. As much as I like the character Chekhov,
and who's going to pick Hoshi or Uhura a bridge
As an operations officer. You're right,
they don't
because
do anything anymore, right? They're essentially
they're good
dead positions.
They're good crew members, but when it comes to ops, you're picking someone. But again, I picked the best pilot in Starfleet and an android. So what does Hoshi Sato have? It's
got dim language skills. That's it.
Which you don't need.
You don't need it. Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's like the universal translators now, so you don't need her skills. All right. That was good. That worked. And look, this was a
Pretty
full
much an hour. Yeah.
hour.